Greatness is not something you stumble upon by accident. It's not handed to you, it's not given because you asked, and it doesn't come wrapped up in applause or attention. Greatness is forged in silence, in the shadows where nobody claps for you, nobody believes in you, and nobody even notices you exist. That's where the foundation is laid. That's where the work is done. That's where the version of you who can no longer be ignored is born. The shadows are uncomfortable because they come with no recognition. You're putting in the hours, the sweat, the discipline, and there's no one cheering, no validation, no spotlight. But that is exactly why the shadows matter. Because if you can keep going when nobody is watching, if you can stay committed when no one is applauding, if you can keep moving when it feels like nobody even cares, then you are training yourself to operate on something greater than applause. You're operating on purpose, and purpose beats recognition every single time. Most people can't handle the shadows. They can't handle working in silence. They want to show off their progress before it even exists. They want to talk about what they're going to do rather than actually doing it. They chase attention instead of chasing results, and that is why most people never achieve greatness, because greatness doesn't grow in the noise. It grows in the quiet grind, the daily repetition, the invisible sacrifices that nobody but you will ever see. Think about it. The world only respects results. Nobody cares how many nights you stayed awake, how many hours you practiced, how many times you were rejected, or how many times you had to start over. Nobody claps for the process. They only clap for the outcome. Which means your job is not to perform for the crowd. Your job is to work in silence, build in the shadows, and prepare for the moment when the results can no longer be ignored. The shadows are a test. They test your patience. They test your discipline. They test whether you're doing this for validation or for victory. Because if you're only motivated when people are watching, you'll never last long enough to win. But if you can stay motivated in the dark, if you can grind with nobody watching, then you are becoming unstoppable. Because you're no longer driven by applause, you're driven by the fire within, and that fire doesn't burn out. Every empire was built in the shadows. Every great fighter trained for years in silence before the world ever knew his name. Every powerful man was once a nobody who refused to stay a nobody. The shadows were his workshop. The darkness was his training ground, the silence was his proving ground. While the rest of the world was distracted, partying, gossiping, or showing off, he was in the shadows building. And one day, when the time was right, he stepped into the light and the world could not ignore him. This is why you should never be discouraged when nobody notices you. That's not a curse, that's a blessing. The shadows give you space to fail without judgment, to grow without interruption, to prepare without pressure. The shadows give you freedom to sharpen your skills, strengthen your mind, and harden your body before you're tested. You need the shadows. The shadows are where greatness is carved out of the ordinary. The truth is, greatness requires a price. That price is paid in silence. That price is paid in early mornings, late nights, discipline when it's boring, sacrifice when it hurts, focus when distractions call your name. The shadows demand a price, but they pay you back with strength that lasts forever. Because the man who comes out of the shadows is not the same man who entered. He has been transformed. He has been hardened. He has been built. So if you feel invisible right now, if you feel like nobody notices you, like nobody claps for you, like nobody believes in you good, that's exactly where you should be, because the shadows are your ally. The shadows are your proving ground, and if you can survive the silence, if you can endure the grind without recognition, then when you step out, you will be unstoppable. Greatness is not loud. Greatness does not beg to be noticed. Greatness does not chase attention. Greatness simply exists, and when it arrives, it cannot be denied. That is why you must work relentlessly in the shadows, because one day, when the results are ready, you won't even have to speak. Your results will speak for you louder than any words ever could. So embrace the shadows, embrace the silence, stop searching for applause, stop announcing every step, stop trying to prove yourself before it's time. Put your head down and build. Work so hard, so relentlessly, so silently, that when you finally rise, the world has no choice but to stand still and watch. Greatness is built in the shadows, and if you have the courage to remain there long enough, greatness will be yours. Discipline is the dividing line between the men who dream and the men who achieve. Everyone wants success, everyone talks about success, but very few are willing to live with the discipline that success demands. Distractions are everywhere in your phone, in your friends, in your environment, in the world screaming for your attention. And most people will give in to them because distractions are comfortable, distractions are easy, distractions give you a quick hit of pleasure without the pain of effort. But discipline is the opposite. Discipline is the ability to do what must be done even when you don't feel like doing it, especially when you don't feel like doing it. You have to understand that life is constantly pulling you in two directions, the path of discipline and the path of distraction. Every day, every moment, you are faced with the choice: do I stay focused on the mission, or do I give in to the temptation to drift? Most people choose to drift, and that is why most people never achieve anything remarkable. They scroll through endless feeds, they binge on entertainment, they gossip, they waste time, and they convince themselves they're busy when in reality, they're just distracted. And while they're lost in noise, the disciplined man is building. While they're distracted, the disciplined man is sharpening himself. And while they're wasting their lives, the disciplined man is becoming unstoppable. Discipline is rare because it demands sacrifice. It demands that you say no to the temporary pleasures that everyone else is addicted to. It demands that you wake up when your body wants to sleep. It demands that you work when your friends are partying. It demands that you stay committed when your emotions tell you to quit. And the truth is, most people are too weak for that. They want results without sacrifice, success without effort, freedom without focus. But life doesn't work that way. Life doesn't reward the distracted. Life rewards the disciplined. You have to ask yourself how much of your time is stolen by distractions, how much of your life is slipping away because you can't control your focus. Think about the hours spent staring at a screen, the hours wasted on meaningless conversations, the hours lost to temporary pleasures that give you nothing in return. If you added them up, you'd realize you've given away years of your life to distractions that will never make you stronger, never make you richer, never make you happier. And once those years are gone, they never come back. That is the tragedy of distraction. It steals from you silently, and by the time you notice, it's too late. Discipline, on the other hand, is the opposite of theft. Discipline is investment. Every hour you put into disciplined work is a seed planted that will grow into results. Every time you resist distraction and stay focused, you are building the man you want to become. And over time, those seeds grow into a forest so massive that nobody can ignore it. That's why discipline is the most valuable currency you can have. Money can be lost, opportunities can fade, relationships can break, but discipline is forever. It is the one thing that guarantees progress no matter what. Discipline means training your mind to obey you. Not your emotions, not your impulses, not your desires because the truth is, your emotions will betray you, your impulses will lead you astray, your desires will keep you weak, but discipline keeps you aligned with your purpose. Discipline makes sure that even on your worst day, you still make progress. Discipline is the armor that protects you from the endless distractions designed to keep you average. If you want proof, just look around. The majority of people are distracted and they're stuck. They talk about dreams they'll never chase. They plan for a future they'll never build. They waste energy on things that don't matter, and then they wonder why nothing in their life changes. Meanwhile, the few who have mastered discipline, the few who choose focus over distraction, the few who are willing to make the sacrifices that others avoid, they rise, slowly at first, quietly at first, but inevitably they rise. Because discipline guarantees that your actions compound into results. And here's the beautiful part: once you embrace discipline, life becomes simpler. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop debating whether you should do the work or not. You stop chasing every shiny distraction that promises quick satisfaction. Instead, you lock in, you show up, you execute, day after day, regardless of how you feel. And because of that, you separate yourself from the majority of people who are slaves to their distractions. The difference between distraction and discipline is the difference between regret and pride. The distracted man, years from now, will look back and wish he had done more, wish he had stayed focused, wish he had controlled himself. He'll live with regret because he chose the easy path, and the easy path always leads to pain in the end. But the disciplined man, years from now, will look back with pride. He'll know he suffered when others avoided suffering. He sacrificed when others indulged. He stayed focused when others gave up. And because of that, he'll have a life worth living, a legacy worth leaving, and a story worth telling. So you have to decide, do you want to be a slave to distractions, or do you want to be the master of discipline? Do you want to waste your life chasing meaningless pleasures, or do you want to build a life that demands respect? The choice is yours every single day, and don't fool yourself. Every distraction you give into is a choice to stay average, and every act of discipline is a step closer to greatness. Discipline over distractions. That is the law of success. That is the difference between the man who talks and the man who wins, between the man who dreams and the man who achieves, between the man who fades away quietly and the man who leaves a legacy that cannot be erased. Choose discipline, no matter how hard it feels, no matter how boring it gets, no matter how much it hurts, because one day the results of your discipline will shine so brightly that all the distractions you sacrificed will mean nothing. You won't even remember them, because the life you built will be far greater than the temporary pleasures you gave up. So take control of yourself, guard your focus, eliminate the distractions, stop wasting time. Stop giving your life away to things that don't matter. Build the discipline that separates the weak from the strong, the average from the exceptional, the forgotten from the unforgettable. Discipline over distractions always. That's how greatness is built. Sacrifice is the price of greatness, and there's no way around it. Every man who has ever built something extraordinary has had to pay with time, comfort, energy, and sometimes even relationships. Success isn't free, freedom isn't free, respect isn't free. The world doesn't hand crowns to men who do nothing. It gives them only to those who suffer first, who sacrifice early, who give up what's easy in exchange for what's worth it. That's the law of life. Pay the price now, shine later. But most people don't want to pay. They want comfort today and success today. They want pleasure today and results today. They want to live like kings without ever going through the suffering required to earn the throne. And that's why most people never shine. Sacrifice is not glamorous. Nobody applauds you for giving up sleep to work on your vision. Nobody praises you when you walk away from the parties, the distractions, the endless temptations. Nobody cheers when you sit alone in silence, grinding day after day, while everyone else enjoys the temporary pleasures you're denying yourself. Sacrifice feels lonely. Sacrifice feels heavy. Sacrifice feels unfair. But the man who endures it understands something the others don't, that nothing worth having comes without a price, and that the higher the goal, the greater the sacrifice required. Think about the men who shine the brightest in this world. Athletes who dominate, entrepreneurs who build empires, warriors who never break. Do you really think they got there without sacrifice? Every champion has a graveyard of sacrifices behind them. Nights they didn't sleep. Friends they lost. Relationships that ended. Comfort they denied themselves. Pain they endured in silence. Every ounce of glory you see in them today was bought with years of sacrifice that nobody saw. That's the truth people don't want to accept. They see the shine, but they don't see the sacrifice. You can't live like everyone else now and expect to shine later. You can't eat what you want, sleep when you want, do whatever feels good in the moment, and think somehow your future will look different. The life you live today is the seed for the life you'll live tomorrow. If you plant sacrifice, you'll harvest success. If you plant comfort, you'll harvest regret. It's really that simple. Every decision is a trade. Every choice is an investment. You're either sacrificing now to build the future you want, or you're sacrificing the future by indulging in the comfort of the present. Most people run from sacrifice because they fear pain. They think, why should I suffer when I could enjoy life right now? But what they don't realize is that pain is unavoidable either way. You can suffer the pain of discipline now, or the pain of regret later. The man who sacrifices today suffers once and then shines forever. The man who avoids sacrifice suffers forever and never shines at all, and regret is the worst pain of all because you can't undo it. You can't go back and change the years you wasted. That's why sacrifice now is not just a choice, it's the only choice if you want to live a life worth remembering. Sacrifice demands you kill your excuses. It demands you stop chasing validation. It demands you cut out people who don't push you forward. It demands you put your mission above your feelings. Feelings will betray you. Feelings will tell you to quit, to rest, to take the easy path. Sacrifice ignores feelings and focuses on the outcome. Sacrifice says, I will give up everything temporary if it means I get to build something permanent. And that mindset is what separates the weak from the strong, the forgotten from the legendary. Look around at the world. Everyone wants to shine, but how many are willing to bleed first? Everyone wants respect, but how many are willing to sacrifice comfort to earn it? Everyone wants freedom, but how many are willing to sacrifice distraction, laziness, and weakness to achieve it? That's why sacrifice is the filter. It filters out the talkers from the doers, the pretenders from the builders, the average from the exceptional. If you're willing to sacrifice now, your future self will live a life others can only dream of. If you refuse, your future self will curse you for the comfort you chose. And here's the truth. Sacrifice is temporary. It doesn't last forever. It feels endless while you're in it, but one day you'll look back and realize that the years of grinding, the years of saying no, the years of working when nobody believed in you, they were short compared to the decades of freedom, respect, and power you gained. The shine lasts longer than the sacrifice. The reward always outweighs the price. That's why the pain is worth it. Because pain is temporary, but pride is forever. So stop running from sacrifice. Stop hiding from the hard work. Stop thinking you can cheat the system. You can't. The universe will always demand a price. Pay it now or pay with regret later. Choose to suffer with purpose today or suffer without meaning tomorrow. The choice is yours and nobody can make it for you, but understand this. If you refuse to sacrifice, don't expect to shine. Sacrifice is the currency of greatness. Every hour of discipline, every drop of sweat, every temptation resisted, every comfort denied, that's the price you're paying for the life you want. And when the moment comes, when the world finally sees the man you've become, they won't see the sleepless nights, the broken friendships, the lonely hours. They'll only see the shine. They'll only see the strength. They'll only see the success, and they'll think it came easy. They'll think it was luck. They'll think you had it handed to you. But you'll know the truth. You'll know what you gave, what you suffered, what you sacrificed. And you'll know it was worth it. So sacrifice now. Give up the comfort. Give up the laziness. Give up the distractions. Embrace the pain. Embrace the struggle. Embrace the grind. Because one day you will shine so brightly that the world will forget you ever suffered. But you will remember, and you'll smile, because you'll know that while others chose comfort and faded into nothing, you chose sacrifice and became everything. Being underestimated is not a weakness, it's a weapon. It is one of the most powerful positions you can ever be in because it gives you the element of surprise. When people underestimate you, they are telling you exactly what they don't expect. They are telling you what they think you're not capable of. And that ignorance, that blindness, that arrogance, it becomes your advantage. While they dismiss you, you prepare. While they doubt you, you sharpen. While they laugh, you build. And then, when the time is right, you rise, and they never saw it coming. Most people are desperate to be seen, desperate to be validated, desperate to be recognized. They want the world to acknowledge their effort before the results exist. That's weakness. That's insecurity. A man who knows where he's going does not beg for recognition. He uses doubt as fuel. Every time someone tells you that you can't, every time they overlook you, every time they act like you don't matter, good. That's exactly what you want. Let them sleep on you. Let them believe you're nothing. Because when they underestimate you, they stop paying attention. And when they stop paying attention, that's when you get to work in silence, free from their eyes, free from their judgment, free from their interference. Being underestimated removes the pressure. Nobody expects anything from you, so every win you create becomes a shockwave. Every result you deliver hits them harder because they didn't think you were capable of it. That's the beauty of doubt. It multiplies the impact of your success. If they believed in you all along, then your rise would be expected. But when they count you out and you prove them wrong, your success becomes undeniable, unforgettable, and impossible to ignore. You have to embrace the fact that the world will not believe in you at first. That's not a curse, it's a blessing. Because if they doubted you, if they underestimated you, it means you get to work without distractions. It means you get to prepare in peace. It means you get to build an arsenal behind closed doors that no one knows exists. And then, one day, you show up so strong, so unshakable, so powerful, that they're left stunned, asking themselves, how did this happen? Think about every underdog story you've ever heard. The hero was underestimated, overlooked, dismissed. People laughed at him, doubted him, ignored him, and that's what gave him the hunger to fight harder, train longer, sacrifice more. That's what gave him the edge, because he wasn't weighed down by expectation. He was fueled by the fire of proving everyone wrong. That's what you must understand. Being underestimated is fuel. It's not an insult, it's motivation. Every doubt is a spark. Every laugh is a push. Every dismissal is a reminder of why you can never stop. The truth is, people will always underestimate you. They will always doubt your potential because most people can't see past their own limitations. They judge you through the lens of their weakness. They say you can't because they couldn't. They say it's impossible because they never had the discipline to make it possible. They project their failures onto you, and if you let it, you'll start to believe them. But the strong don't let other people's limitations define them. The strong take every doubt as confirmation that they're on the right path, because the more people say it can't be done, the greater the reward when you do it. You should want to be underestimated, because when you're underestimated, you're dangerous. You move unseen, you move quietly, you move without resistance. Nobody blocks a man they think is harmless. Nobody prepares for a man they think is weak. Nobody competes with a man they think can't win, and that's exactly why you win, because while they were ignoring you, you were evolving. While they were laughing, you were leveling up. While they were doubting, you were creating the very results that will one day silence them. The power of being underestimated is that you get to strike without warning. You get to prove them wrong in a way that leaves no room for argument. Results can't be debated. Results crush opinions. Results silence critics. You don't have to fight with words. You don't have to waste time convincing anyone. You don't have to argue about your worth. You just have to show them, let them see what you've built, what you've become, what you've achieved, and in that moment, every doubt, every insult, every laugh, they all die instantly, so don't hate being underestimated. Don't waste time trying to convince the world to see your value before you've earned it. Stop begging for validation. Stop explaining yourself. Let them think you're nothing. Let them think you're weak. Let them think you'll never make it. And then, when you rise, when you succeed, when you dominate, it will taste 10 times sweeter because you'll know you did it while the whole world counted you out. Remember, no empire is announced in the beginning. No champion is recognized in the early days. No king is crowned before the battle is won. Everyone who ever became great was once underestimated. They were once doubted, once ignored, once dismissed. That's the path, that's the process, that's the price, and if you're being underestimated now, that's proof you're on the right path. It means you still have something to prove, and that hunger, that fire, that edge, that's what will make you unstoppable. So the next time someone doubts you, don't get angry, don't get discouraged, smile, because you just got stronger. You just gained more fuel. You just added more fire to the storm you're building. Let them doubt. Let them laugh, let them ignore you. Every time they underestimate you, your power grows, and one day, when you step into the light, they'll all realize the mistake they made. They'll realize they should never have doubted you. They'll realize they should never have laughed. They'll realize that underestimating you was the biggest mistake they ever made, because when the underestimated rise, they rise with a vengeance. They rise with proof. They rise with power, and nothing in the world can stop them. Talk is cheap. Everybody talks. Everybody says what they're going to do, what they're planning, what their goals are. Everyone has dreams, and most people are addicted to telling the world about them. But the truth is, nobody cares about your words, nobody respects your promises, nobody is impressed by your intentions. The world doesn't care about what you're going to do, it only cares about what you've already done. That's why results make the noise. Results are undeniable. Results are the only language the world listens to. You can scream about your ambition, you can shout about your grind, you can brag about your plans. But unless you can back it up with results, it means nothing. People may nod, they may smile, they may pretend to support you, but deep down they don't believe it. Words fade quickly, words are forgotten, but results stick. Results are proof. Results are the evidence that can't be debated, can't be denied, can't be ignored. That's why you must stop trying to talk your way into respect and start working your way into it. Because the man who has results never has to raise his voice. His results do the talking for him. The truth is, the loudest people usually have the least to show. They use noise to hide the fact that they have nothing real. They brag because they're insecure. They make empty promises because they don't trust themselves to deliver. But the man who is truly working, the man who is locked in, the man who is producing results, he doesn't need to talk. He doesn't need to convince anyone. He doesn't need validation. He knows the results are coming, and when they arrive, everyone will see them. Results are powerful because they cut through doubt. People can doubt your words. They can laugh at your dreams, they can ignore your effort. But when the results show up, there is nothing left to say. Doubt dies in the face of evidence. Laughter disappears in the face of proof. The same people who once dismissed you will have no choice but to acknowledge you, not because you begged them to, but because your results left them no other option. That's why the grind in silence is so important, because one day the results will be so loud that they'll echo louder than all the noise in the world. Think about the athletes who dominate their sport, the businessmen who build empires, the leaders who command respect. They don't need to scream about their greatness. Their results scream for them. Every win, every achievement, every victory is a roar that silences all critics. And that's the position you must aim for, to become so effective, so consistent, so undeniable that your results speak for you. You don't chase attention. You don't chase applause. You let your results drag the attention to you, whether you want it or not. When you focus on results, you separate yourself from the crowd instantly. Because most people don't want results. They want recognition. They're addicted to being seen working instead of actually working. They want the appearance of success without the substance of it. That's why their noise is meaningless. But you must be different. You must put your head down, block out the distractions, and work until the results appear. And when they do, they'll speak louder than anything you could have said along the way. Results also give you freedom. When you have results, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to justify your decisions. You don't have to convince anyone you're on the right path. Results silence all arguments. Results are the ultimate answer to every question, every doubt, every criticism, and once you have them, you move differently. You carry yourself with confidence, not because you're pretending, but because you have proof that you can deliver. Results are power, and power is respect. But don't mistake results for instant rewards. Results take time. They don't come after 1 week of effort. They don't come after a few good days of discipline. Results demand consistency. Results demand sacrifice. Results demand patience. That's why so few people ever achieve them. Because they quit too early. They want the noise before they've earned it. But you can't cheat the process. You can't skip the grind. You can't talk your way into results. You have to show up day after day in silence, in discipline, in sacrifice, until the results can no longer be hidden. And here's the beauty. Once the results come, they don't whisper, they roar. They make the noise for you, louder than anything you could have shouted. The same people who ignored you will now pay attention. The same people who doubted you will now ask for your advice. The same people who laughed at you will now want to be associated with you. Not because your words changed, but because your results forced them to. That is the true power of results. They flip the narrative, they turn critics into believers, they turn doubt into respect. So stop wasting energy trying to prove yourself through words. Stop announcing your every move. Stop bragging about effort before the outcome exists. That's weakness. That's insecurity. Focus only on the grind, only on the discipline, only on the sacrifices that will create results. Because when the results finally arrive, they will speak louder than you ever could. And that voice will echo far beyond what words could have achieved. Results make the noise. That's why you must fall in love with the process that produces them. Waking up early, staying disciplined, sacrificing distractions, working relentlessly, those actions might feel quiet, invisible, unnoticed, but every time you choose discipline, you're investing in results. And every investment compounds until the day the noise is deafening. Remember this, people forget words, they ignore effort, but they never forget results. Results leave a mark. Results build legacies. Results outlive you. Nobody remembers the promises of men who never delivered. Nobody respects the talkers, the boasters, the pretenders, but everyone respects the man who produces undeniable results. Because results don't just speak, they roar. So keep your mouth shut and let your work talk. Stop chasing noise and start chasing results. Because in the end, nobody will care about what you said, but they will never forget what you built, what you achieved, what you proved. Results make the noise, and if you're willing to pay the price, your results will echo long after your words are gone. At the end of the day, remember this, words fade, noise fades, but results live forever. The world doesn't care about what you plan to do, it only respects what you've already done. Work when nobody's watching, sacrifice when nobody claps, and stay disciplined when nobody believes. Because the moment your results arrive, they'll speak louder than every doubt, every insult, and every excuse. Work hard in silence, let your success be the thunder, and let your results echo long after you're gone. That is how you win. That is how legends are made.